India's most overlooked strategic project is not a battlefield and not a speech. It is a corridor, Kaladan. In a region where borders are fragile and sea lanes matter, Kaladan could become a second access point for India's northeast through Myanmar's western coast. Current reporting says the project is expected to be fully operational by 2027, with the remaining road links still under development because conflict in Myanmar has slowed work. Kaladan is a multi-modal route linking Mizoram to Kolkata via Myanmar, using the Sidway port, the Kaladan River, and road links through Paletwa and Sorinpui. The sea and river parts are in place, but the road segment remains the pressure point. In other words, the route exists on paper and in pieces, but the final operational link is still being completed. This project matters because logistics are power. When access to the northeast depends too heavily on a narrow corridor, the entire region becomes vulnerable to disruption. That is why leaders from Mizoram have described Kaladan as strategically important, and why reporting says the route could cut the Aizawl to Kolkata distance by about 700 kilometers. The value here is not only speed, it is redundancy, resilience, and crisis access. The corridor runs through Rakhine, historically known as Arakan, which is not just a transit zone but a political and conflict zone. The region has old links to India's northeast, and recent reporting notes that the Mizo National Front once had historical ties with Rakhine during its insurgent phase. That makes this borderland more than geography. It is a lived frontier shaped by migration, conflict, memory, and cross border politics. The biggest challenge is that western Myanmar is unstable. There has reportedly been heavy fighting in Rakhine, including the Arakan army's gains, and claims that it pushed junta forces out of towns including Paletwa. India's reported outreach to Myanmar's anti-junta forces was driven by concern that the civil war threatens the border and key infrastructure projects. Kaladan is therefore not just a strategic project, it is a project inside an active conflict environment. That conflict risk is made worse by terrain. Kaladan depends on sea, river, and road coordination across a difficult borderland. Delays are not surprising when the route crosses areas affected by armed conflict, checkpoints, and shifting control. The unfinished road is the most fragile part because one broken link can slow the whole corridor. Kaladan also sits inside a wider Bay of Bengal context. China has widened its footprint in Bangladesh, while India's ties there have weakened, making eastern connectivity and maritime access even more strategically important for New Delhi. Put simply, the Bay of Bengal is becoming more competitive, not less, and Kaladan is India's answer to that pressure. Kaladan is easy to ignore because it is quiet, technical, and unfinished. But that is exactly why it matters. It connects India's northeast to the sea, gives the region an alternative route through Myanmar, and turns logistics into strategy. If it is completed and secured, it will be one of the most important connectivity projects in India's eastern ground.